All right, so welcome everyone to the 28th MVP Office Hours. I am your host, this kind of sounds like a game show, so I'll start that over. So I'm Jared Kingston with Apereo, Salesforce MVP, and I kind of host the Office Hours. And if you've been on before, you know that. So thanks for being on with us today. We have a decent crowd, so it should be a good one. If I could go ahead and have the MVPs raise their hand, I kind of see them in there, but if you raise your hand in the meeting for me, that'd be perfect. Thank you. So really quick, just a rundown of how MVP Office Hours goes for any new people. Essentially, it's an open forum, so imagine it like the Answers community, but live, to where you can raise your hand in the web portion of the meeting. You can speak up if there's some dead air. You can post in the chat, and we'll get to you as soon as we can. Any of those channels works, and don't be afraid to speak up and ask a question. No question is a dumb question, all that jazz. So with that being said, we have a couple MVPs on the call that are going to be helping out today. Sorry, sounds like my audio is bad. I had to dial in from my cell phone today, so I apologize. Hopefully you can hear me a little bit better now. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce the MVPs we have on the call. Bill, you want to start us off?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bill Greenhall, Salesforce MVP, Summer 13 class.
Awesome. Brendan.
Hey everybody, this is Brendan Conroy, consultant with Monday Call and also MVP.
Awesome. Deepa.
Hi, this is Deepa Patel with Half Consulting, Salesforce MVP. This is my third year and also Silicon Valley User Group Co-Leader.
And a certification test.
Oh, yes, study group. Yes.
Extraordinaire.
Salesforce certification study group. I run that on the Success community, and Brendan and some of the other MVPs help us with helping people get their certifications. If anyone is looking to get their ADM 201 certification, please feel free to check us out on the Success community. I'm sorry, guys. I have had no sleep last night. I have a neighbor who decides to take a shower at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I hear it. So I'm a little slow today, but I'm here.
No, you're fine. You're fine. All right, next up, and hopefully you can hear me better now. Next up, Philip, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, Philip Southern. I'm on the East Coast in North Carolina. I'm a developer for Gear CRM. We're a Salesforce consulting partner. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, guys, for being on the call. So with that said, we'll go ahead and open up the forum. So if you have a question, again, you can feel free to go ahead and speak up, post in the chat, or raise your hand.
Hello, Chris Utley here.
Hey, Chris. Go ahead.
Good day from Toronto. I have a question for you. It's sort of about files, but let me go through it. We use Great Plains right now for invoicing, and we store invoice PDFs on a local server folder. And currently we do not yet have an invoice object in Salesforce. So our business wants to be able to see a list of invoices in Salesforce for an account, and they also want to be able to view the original invoice PDF while they're in Salesforce. So my question is, I know I need an integration. I need to build, I guess, an invoice object in Salesforce and migrate that Great Plains data over there so I have a related list of invoices. But how do I deal with the PDFs? They want to be able to view a PDF, the original PDF, while they're in Salesforce. And I'm looking for some guidance on what I should do in that area. I don't have any developers or anything like that here in my shop. I'm a sole administrator.
Do you guys use Chatter?
Not really. There's a few of us that use it, but it's not rolled out across the company for sure. They want to be able to email the invoices to a customer while they're in Salesforce, which that's simple because they can just attach the file from the local file share. But how do they view it while they're sitting there in Salesforce?
So it's a combination of two different things here. First of all, like chatter files is the best way to share, especially with combination of chatter files and topics. So if you like have a topic at each account where an invoice is hashtagged with invoice, or then you can actually go look at the topics and you can look at all the files that are trending with that topic. But chatter files allows you to share it internally, and you can view the document, like you can literally preview the original document with chatter files. But that actually puts the document within Salesforce. Is it a requirement that the document needs to sit outside of Salesforce?
Well, that's what I'm looking for guidance on. Do I have to copy all of these PDFs into Salesforce someplace, then have sort of redundancy? I'll have my local file server and my PDF version.
That's where the Salesforce file sync is going to be extremely useful for you guys. And I was just in a webinar about it. And guys, help me out. Is it GA already, or is it GA as of summer 14?
It'll be available in summer 14, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what that's going to allow you to do is you can keep your document on your server, and when you link that document as a file to Chatter, you will not bring that document into Salesforce, but you'll still be able to view that document. I'm going to recommend that you go look at the videos for file sync on YouTube. There's also, they just finished a webinar, like they just finished a 2-day webinar where they were announcing, file sync. And I would go take a look at it where they talk about that being like, they've got an integration with SharePoint, but you can also sync it from your local folder. So go take a look at that, because we have some great functionality coming up with Summer 14, which is getting released in about a month.
So I can do all that, but I'm still a little bit back to basic question. Let's say I have a related list of invoices on my account page, and a user clicks on an invoice, and that opens up the invoice detail page. Now they just want to view the PDF while they're sitting there. Like, I don't want to share invoices and collaborate. Really, this is just to let certain people who need to, they want to go into an account and view an invoice off a related list.
Okay,
so is this, sorry,
Yeah, I just have a question for you, kind of backing up.
Yep.
Do you know if the PDFs are stored in the database on Great Plains, or are they actually on file?
No, it's this file storage.
Oh, okay, just want to make sure on that.
Yep.
And is that accessible via web, or is it all internal file storage?
It's all internal.
Okay. Yeah.
So the people in finance can send emails from Salesforce, and they can attach the invoice PDF just by calling that up from their file share. But if somebody else, one of our customer service people, wants to look at the invoice on Salesforce and they don't have access to that file share, how do I let them see the invoice in Salesforce?
So, so not the PDF, the actual data. I mean, you can build the integration, but there is a product on AppExchange by DB Sync, who is a pre-built product that will sync all the Great Plains invoices up into a Salesforce object.
Right.
And then you just build the security around it. That way, if you don't have developers, you don't have to build the integration yourself.
Yeah, that part I think I can handle.
I don't know if they're going to do the PDF stuff and everything for you. You can go Deepa's way, talk about the file sync, or if you only want people accessing the files while they're on your network, you can always just link to the file location. But again, they'd have to be on your network to access.
Right.
So
I would have to have a separate link, though, on every invoice record?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'd have to build some kind of field which would carry that that file name, and then they click on that, and that would take them off to the file share and see the invoice.
Correct.
So the way a customer built this was they created a custom object just like you're talking about, but they had a text field for the name and then a separate URL field for the link to that document.
Right.
That's the only way I can see you being able to do that.
And the URL field would be able to go off. It wouldn't have to be a web page. It could go off to a local file share.
Yep. But here's the thing. You'll only be able to see this when you're within your firewall, within the office, right?
Which sort of defeats the purpose.
Exactly. When you're outside the office, you can't see it because you've got the hard drive, you've got the letter C:\/ or D:\/ or whatever it is. You've got that hard-coded in that URL. That is why I'm suggesting chatter files, because then it's like if anybody in your accounting department or legal department is outside the office, with chatter files you can still have access to it through Salesforce One, through your iPad, right? Even through a web browser, no matter where you are. So you do want to weigh the pros and cons of, having a related list versus having chatter files with hashtags, because topics is a great way to organize your data.
Okay, that's a whole new area to me that I don't know much about, so I'll have to learn on that side.
Yeah, go. There's, I'll see if I can find some links for you and post them on the group. Okay. As I said, I'm a little slow today, guys. I'm just literally racking my brain to talk, but I'll see if I can find some links for you.
Okay.
All right, and I also posted to the chat a link to I don't know if you've seen or heard of Jitterbit. That may be a good service.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of integration tools out there that I'm going to be considering, and Jitterbit's one of them, and DB-Sync is the other one. And there's lots of them out there. I'm more interested in how to handle the PDFs than I am about the integration itself.
Yeah, what they said about the PDF, I would agree. I think you can do that. I've seen it done. So.
My other thought was creating a folder in the documents area and loading all the invoices into there, and then having a link from a field in the invoice custom object to each of those documents. Is that the same as chatter files? Same?
No, not within documents. You would probably want to try to attach it to the record within Salesforce.
Because in that case, you could also use the library, Salesforce libraries, although Salesforce is heading more and more towards chatter files. But
yeah, I mean, you could use just the attachment object, the notes and attachment, and I mean, with work, you can get products like Jitterbit and stuff to upload attachments as well. I mean, it takes some knowing what to do with the product, but you can do that.
Okay.
See, I usually advise clients based on, what's on the roadmap to make sure that all the efforts you put in now is not going to become obsolete, a year or 2 years from now. So that's why I'm still, emphasizing on chatter files, but it's all up to you. And it's all based on your requirements.
Okay.
I'm looking for topics as a...
Somebody put us on hold.
Awesome. Tuesday. There you go.
Hi.
Am I supposed to start dancing now?
Somebody put us on hold. Whoever's out there.
Somebody didn't like me. Somebody doesn't like me.
That's the service fee.
It's a party. If you put us on hold, you gave us some little background music there, so thanks for that. All right, so the next question we have here is from Barry McDaniel, and Barry's wanting to know, they're looking to implement knowledge. Does anybody have best practices around that? How much configuration? They're just using Sales Cloud, not Service Cloud. And how much config is typically needed on that? any of the MVPs want to jump in there? I actually just implemented, but I'll let somebody else if they want to.
I'm still going through that, so I have no.
I think you should take this one, Jared.
Yeah.
You're probably the best one on this.
You're probably the best one on this.
Okay, so yeah, I just actually implemented this.
Can
on
you
a
repeat
customer.
the question, Jared?
Yeah, for sure. So the question was just they're looking to implement it, so they can, Barry's looking for best practices around knowledge and how much configuration is needed to get it up and running. Is that correct, Barry?
Yep, that's perfect. Thanks.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I just implemented this at a client, and honestly, it's actually really pretty easy to get up and going. And I'll share this out. And I actually just got back from the Southern Indiana user group where I presented on this. And I'll share that. I'll try to share that presentation once I have it ready out on the MVP Office Hours group. Yeah, it's pretty easy to get up and going. You need to, a couple things that are kind of gotchas. And I'll also share the Salesforce Knowledge Implementation Guide that's good to check out. But your user record has to have the knowledge user box checked in order for you to even see the knowledge setup. Even as an administrator, it's kind of interesting there, but you have to check that. And once you do, all you have to do is create at least one article type. And once you create an article type, you can enable knowledge, and from there you're kind of off and running to where you can do a lot of the setup around your article types and data categories, and giving users permission, whether they can create or view articles within the knowledge base. And yeah, so I mean, honestly, like from a configuration time, it would probably only take you, but like, not even an hour to really get it all set up. It's really pretty straightforward. One other gotcha that I'll say is Salesforce recently, I think it was in the past like a couple of releases, released a feature called Knowledge One, which allows you to have knowledge articles that live in Salesforce and also potentially like SharePoint or other systems, and you can integrate that in with Knowledge One and bring it all together within Knowledge. The thing is that out of the box, if you don't have that Knowledge One checked on the user profile, the tab in Salesforce actually shows up as, I believe, articles and article management. But whenever you turn on Knowledge One for the profile, it actually changes the tab to one tab called Knowledge. So I recommend just go ahead and turn that on because it makes a little bit more sense too. But yeah, other than that, do you have any like specific questions besides that?
No. So I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Okay, or are you getting feedback or bounce back?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So we were sort of told that it would be as easy as like flipping a switch, and we only have a couple of true developers or sysadmins in our company, so everything that we do, needs to be submitted through our change request process, and they're looking for, a lot more specifics, like they're trying to make this bigger than a bread box, and no, you got this and this, you got to list your profiles and your permissions, and I'm thinking, well, if there's only a certain group of us that are going to be able to create articles and everybody else is a viewer, after we kind of set up these categories. So we've had a couple of demos, so it seems like we do want to tie it to, we're going to limit it right now probably just to a specific case record type, and then drive it off of our internal support cases that we use to manage all of our users' questions and things. So I guess, just giving our development team some sort of an estimate on what the level of effort would be and how many hours of development this would actually take. So whatever we can compile on the front end, be able to give to them and just say, okay, here you go, here's all of our rules, or here's all of our configurations already set up, and that should limit the amount of hours it takes on their end.
Yeah. So yeah, it really is pretty simple. I mean, you're right. It's just a matter of enabling it and then setting up the however many article types you want and setting up your data categories. and then just changing the permissions on profiles, whether they can, manage articles or just view them. And after that, honestly, it's just filling up a knowledge base with knowledge articles.
So the permissions are profile driven?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I believe you should be able to do them like permission sets, or but yeah, it's all profile driven.
Okay. And then my other question is, do you know, we have, I don't know, probably several case types. Can you change the data categories or have the data categories different based on the case record type?
That I do not know. I know you can map data categories to like types.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like how it finds not suggest knowledge articles, but I don't really know that you can actually limit the data categories by a record type of the case.
Okay.
But that's an interesting question. And then one thing I did want to ask that Marty brought up was, are you doing this? You're doing this just internally, right? Not a public knowledge base.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, if you can post that presentation out to your MVP group when you're ready, that'd be great.
Yeah. Look for that on. I'm hoping to post it today.
Cool.
And I also just posted in the chat the implementation guide, which is pretty detailed. So definitely.
Hey, let me know
that
when
out.
you do that, Gerard, because I would love to take a look at it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
As we started our Service Cloud certification group, it's a private group right now. It's a private beta group, so I think whatever you share will be helpful to us before we open it to the public.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds great. All right. So let's see here. I think the next in line is Dennis. Dennis, I know you posted in the chat. If you want to go ahead and just kind of give your question.
Sorry about that. I just dropped out. My question is about a case workflow. Can you hear me okay?
Yep,
yeah, it's a little faint, but you're good.
Okay, so I'm trying to avoid writing a trigger for the case object where the end users want the ability to open up a case or go into a queue, list view as a queue that they belong to, so they're a member of a queue, and then open up a case to the detail page where it says ownership equals queue, whatever it is. We have 4 or 5 queues and many more to come. So I know you can click on that field, transfer owner, and search change ownership, and then search for another queue or user or yourself, and then select that and click save, and then ownership changes from the queue to the individual user. But what they want is the ability to just change the field on that case, save it, and then automatically the ownership changes from queue to whatever individual user did that action. Does that question make sense?
So are they going to select a field, or are they going to populate a field with their name?
No, the users are already in the system, and some of them are members of a queue. So they want to be able to go into cases into their queue and claim a case out of that queue and change ownership from queue to Joe Smith, me, Joe Smith.
So they want to do it without having to go through the multiple clicks?
Yeah, they want to be able to hit the save button on the case detail, and then boom, ownership changes from existing ownership, which is queue, whatever queue that they're in, to their individual name, Joe Smith. So Joe Smith is a member of XYZ queue. And so he goes into the XYZ queue and says, okay, I'm going to work this one. from my cases. So I'm going to click save, or maybe make some modification. Maybe he sends an email message out case. Click save. He wants that case owner change from XYZQ to Joe Smith, Joe Smith, and then he would go into the list view, my cases, and see, and that's where it would go, where it would be. So this is a field update. We're updating the ownership field, case ownership field. But when I try to write a workflow, you can only choose another queue or an individual user. We want the user who last modified it to be able to take ownership, be that new owner. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. The other MVPs jump in here if I'm incorrect here, but I think workflow you're not going to be able to do, but maybe visual flow. If you don't want to go the trigger route. Any other MVPs have a thought on that?
I was going to say
the problem with this concept is, Jared, and tell me if I'm wrong. If you try to do this when it was last modified and you click on save, there's no other foolproof logic, because then it's going to keep doing it every time you click on save, no matter who clicks on save on that record.
No, you could do it by only if the queue owner, if it's owned by a queue. Once it's owned by a person, it won't get triggered anymore.
Yeah, that would be, it would still be kind of a slight concern of mine, but you should be able to just say, hey, if it's owned by a queue, don't change the ownership. Or do change the ownership, and if it's owned by a user, don't allow it, or just don't do it. The only other thing I would say is, what a hack essentially that I've created before is just a button on the case detail page that you could it's just a JavaScript button, and you click it, and it automatically changes the owner to the running user without them having to do any sort of lookup or anything like that. So that's another way of doing it if you didn't want to do like a because the only other way I know is doing a trigger or a flow.
And the problem, from the development side, from the trigger side is, if you're gonna develop that, you have to know specifically which field to monitor, or you could do last modified. But the pitfalls you're going to open up with that is, what if you run into a use case where it is in the queue, somebody gets a piece of information that they need to update the case by, but they don't necessarily want the case. You've got a case, let's say the client or the user, whoever called in, and you've got something to update that case by, but you're not the subject matter expert. You don't necessarily want that case in your queue, so you kind of create that pitfall of every time that happens, they're going to get the case, and then they have to put it back in the queue, and you've created more clicks for them. So I know, usually if you can provide a way, and it sounds like the JavaScript button may be your ticket. If you can provide a clear way for a user to say, yes, I want ownership of this case, then it kind of streamlines it a little better.
Yeah, the other thought was a checkbox and we could put the default checked. Auto assign to self or something checkbox, but that sounds like writing a trigger. And so if the user leaves the checkbox checked, they're gonna when they leave the case, it'll get ownership transferred from the queue to them. But if they unselect the checkbox, it says I don't want it. Leave it in the queue. So I'm trying to figure that out too.
I think a button hack is the best option here, because then they're very specifically telling that record that I want you to change the ownership from a queue to me. And that's where you put your running user ID in there.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think it also, I always err on the side of not doing something that maybe, the user doesn't have a chance to kind of interact with it or say whether they want that to happen, if it doesn't need to always happen type deal. So yeah, I mean, you could add a checkbox, but it may be, you may try the button first as a start, and then if you need more automation, then go from there. That way, you don't do a lot of automation just to find out that it is just too complex for them, or doesn't give them the chance to kind of back out.
Okay.
So I posted that button, the link to my blog that I put out there, and I know others have done a similar thing too, but I just put a link out to there if you want to check that out, and let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Yeah.
And if the JavaScript, if there's some constraints around JavaScript, or you don't necessarily want to put JavaScript in there, you can accomplish that with Visualforce and Apex as well. So there's you have a couple of different options that route.
Jared, I'm going to copy this in the. Do you want to put it in the MVP office hours as well?
Yeah, I can. Or if you want to do that, it doesn't matter. I can do that here shortly.
Okay. I can just copy paste and put it while I'm at it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, so our next question comes from Kathy, also out of Toronto. So welcome to the Canadians. Awesome to have you on. So let's see. I'm reading your question here. All right. So looking for someone to explain the benefits or give some use cases for campaign influence functionality in Salesforce.
Sorry, repeat the question.
So just looking for some benefits or potentially use cases for using campaign influence within Salesforce. I personally haven't used it, so is there anything else?
Have, and
okay,
I
go ahead.
preach about it all the time. In fact, I will also post a presentation we did at last year's Dreamforce. The biggest benefit of campaign influence is when you see all the opportunities. So the key is the campaign influence needs to be set up at the opportunity level. From the opportunity, you select which campaign influence that opportunity. And when you go into that campaign, you will see a list of all the opportunities that were there. And if you have campaign hierarchy turned on, or is it history? Oh my God, Deepa, I can't believe I'm failing on the terms here. But basically what you do is you see how many leads came to that campaign, how many of those got converted to account contact opportunities, how many of those opportunities closed. And so when you actually run your campaign ROI report, you can see what was your cost for that campaign and how much business did you generate because of that particular marketing effort. So I advise clients to really use it all the time. It's a very good thing. What it comes down to is like, okay, the reps have to make sure that they do go and select the correct campaign that influenced that opportunity. And I just logged into my demo org so that I can get the wording right for what I'm talking. Campaign hierarchy, I was correct about that. So campaign hierarchy, it gives you the number of leads for that campaign, converted leads, out of which are how many contacts, out of which how many opportunities, value of the one opportunities, and then the actual responses when you set up your campaign member status, what those are, what was your expected revenue, and then it compares that against your budgeted cost and your actual cost. And so you get a true ROI on how much money did you spend for that particular marketing effort and how much business did you generate from that particular marketing effort. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I can put a screenshot if you want to see what it actually looks like in the campaigns.
Yeah, sure, that'd be great.
Okay. I will do a screenshot and put it there. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is Steve. Then one thing, just echoing everything Deepa said, but the other nice thing about campaign influence is it does it automatically based on the criteria that you give it in the campaign influence setup, whereas the manual process, the user has to basically, when they're creating the opportunity, they need to manually select the primary campaign that they are attributing that opportunity to, and it's one more click, it's one more step, and the users may not do it. And so this kind of automates it so that you can kind of see, the different things that may have, like it's really accurately named by calling it campaign influence, because a contact or a lead may have been a part of multiple campaigns, and any one of them could have had some kind of influence on getting that opportunity in the door. So I think that for me, one of the most powerful parts of it is it automates it, but it allows you as an admin in the influence settings to determine like when, after like a certain number of days or so, that an opportunity would not have been influenced by a campaign.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Does that help out, Kathy?
Definitely. That's more than I've been able to get. Much more. So I definitely have a better understanding. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
And once again, I'll post a screenshot for you so you can see. It really works really well, and it gets tied into the ROI report.
Yeah, that's a very cool feature. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and if you didn't catch the soothing male voice that was helping answer that question, that was Steve Moe, the famous Steve Moe, as gracious with his presence.
That was Steve Moe?
Of course that was Steve.
It didn't sound like Steve.
I just had to do that.
Love you, Steve Moe.
Our next question is from Rob Kaplan. So let's see. Rob says, seeking a preliminary architecture conversation about modeling SaaS revenue with single closed ops and forecasting the revenue stream. I have a concept set in mind, but not sure it's best practice. Do you want to add any more to that, Rob?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Special hi to Steve. Let's go to the game. So, I mean, as we all know, when you close an opportunity, let's say I have an opportunity scheduled to close at the end of June, okay, that's it. Dollars won in month closed. But when you have a business model that's SaaS, you typically have a revenue stream. And every month you're going to see revenue again. Now, some may say, well, that's invoice revenue. Okay, fine, I could see that claim. But for our purposes, that may change month to month based on how well our product and services works. So the original contract may be 6 months at $50,000 a month, which is a total of $300. But maybe in month 3, the client says, you know what, I wasn't really pleased the last 30 days. I'm going to cut my spending back, and therefore the fee, which is my revenue, that you receive from me is also going to be commensurately lower because I'm not going to spend $50,000 this month. I'm only going to spend $40,000. Or the reverse may happen. Wow, you guys hit it out of the park. We're going to up our spend for the following month. So the way I'm kind of going with this before I even get to the forecasting portion of it is I've turned on product schedules over in the development org, and I'm kind of playing with doing a product schedule. And I asked Salesforce to disable some of the required fields in product schedule so that I can kind of play with some values in there, very much variable. In other words, almost dynamic, instead of having to be static right out of the price book. And I seem to be making progress with that. And then secondarily, I asked them to turn on customizable forecasting. And with that, I can go read the schedule, and I am coming up with kind of a summary total of, let's say, 6 months worth of revenue, and also the 6 months of fees associated with that revenue. It's starting to look good, but I feel like I'm the only one in the nation building it like this, and there are literally hundreds and hundreds of organizations that have a SaaS revenue model. There must be a simpler way.
Any MVPs have any thoughts there?
So I know that first of all, a couple different things, and Steve, please step in. But the thing is, Salesforce is planning to continue with the collaborative forecasting. So I'd caution you there. But the thing is, this is a little bit more than what just comes out of the box with Salesforce. And so there are products out there like Apttus has a product that allows you to do what you need to do, which is the ARR and MRR calculations, and to be able to have the variable, pricing, which then rolls up into your forecasting. And Zuora is another
what was that?
product.
Yeah, Zuora I had heard of. What was the first one?
Apttus. APTTUS. And I was just at Apttus Accelerate on Tuesday, and they were showing me they do have what you can take care of with the monthly, especially the monthly ARR. Monthly MRR and ARR roll-ups that you need. So take a look at that. Now, Safe Harbor, you will at some point see that from Salesforce, but it's not there.
Safe Harbor noted. Thank you. Anyone else?
The other way I've seen, it's not the cleanest way, but is using Apex is you have an opportunity for every month, and then you're changing your amount for that month. I've actually seen that done as well.
So that sounded like Steve. Are you saying?
This is Phil.
Phil, sorry. You're saying clone the opportunity in successive months,
or have Apex automatically create them with a close month for every month of your contract, and then when that month comes up, if they're changing it, you change the amount for that month.
Yep, and we actually have it built like that. We have it built like that today. Isn't that interesting? Fascinating. Okay, good. It's built like that today because we also have what I'll call a managed service business. It's less SaaS-y, but it's repetitive. So we set that up in that manner. Yes, thank you.
Hey, this is Philip. I mean, we've from the developer side, I've seen, you're not the only one. There are other businesses out there that are using revenue scheduling or the opportunity line item scheduling. So, and there are some features lacking on that, especially with the management side. So, we've actually worked with our clients to build some development around that, to where once a line item is inserted, based on some business rules, you can put that scheduling out and then provide a tool for mass editing, which it sounds like maybe some of the other AppExchange products do. So yeah, know that you're not alone. There are other people out there using that.
Okay, good. I'll spend a little more time trolling the ideas pages and cast a few more votes. If there's no other input, I'll just say thanks very much.
I'm sorry, that's the best I know. And most of the times I tell customers to look at a product that has done that at an advanced level. So.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Dennis has another question here. Can role hierarchies, and my screen just went dark. Can you expand upon your question?
Yeah, my question, guys, imagine an org where the case object is a private model applied to it. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
And so we've got 3 levels in the role hierarchy. Imagine stores, store level, 15 stores rolling up to a regional office, and 12 regional offices rolling up to the headquarters office. So that's the role hierarchy. And to open up the sharing model, we have case sharing rules so that anybody in one store can see cases from that same store, but not another store. And the regional guys can see all the stores, all 15 stores' cases in their region, and the global guys, headquarters guys, can see the whole company's cases. and we also have a store object that has the store name, address, et cetera. Can data loader be used to load, 500 of these things at the same time? Or how would you use data loader to load all this information? Can data loader be used to do this?
To set up the sharing rules?
To load I know it can be used to load the store object. That's easy. That's just a custom object. The hard part is like the role hierarchy where you've got this store, store needs to roll up to the correct region. And then you've got the associated case sharing rule. Store in San Francisco store, any can share cases with San Francisco store because it's a private sharing model. So there's like 3 pieces here. The store object itself, one for each, for 500 different stores. There's a second piece, which is the role hierarchy. That store has to be in the role hierarchy and report to the correct region. You can't have San Francisco store reporting to the region in Washington, D.C., so it's a geographical thing. And then the third piece is the associated case sharing rule. Anybody in San Francisco store can, any user in the San Francisco store can see and share cases with other users in the San Francisco store. So we've done this by hand for a small data set, but now I need to know how we're going to do this with 500 stores.
Yeah.
Guys?
Without a lot of coding.
I'm actually trying to, sorry, this is Marty. I'm actually trying to think through the question a little bit. So it sounds like the role hierarchy you can definitely do with data loader. So that itself probably won't be a major challenge. Regarding the actual store sharing, I think others definitely correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the way that sharing rule would probably read is an associate, like say the rule will basically read, I'm a San Francisco store rep, share with other people in my exact same role. Dennis, is that how you guys have had it today?
Yeah, it would be, you would click on, it would say users in this role can view all cases associated with accounts they own, regardless of who owns the cases. I'm reading an existing role detail. Can that be, data loaded? Can that be loaded using data loader, that case sharing rule, along with, the new store?
Well, I guess my question maybe is a little bit different. Like, wouldn't you run out of sharing rules?
I am. Is this Dennis Markunas?
Why, yes, it is, Deepa.
Hi.
Hello there.
I kind of get this feeling. Why aren't you creating like groups and utilizing groups to define the sharing rules? If you think about it, you've got regional, like you want, what you're saying is, are you saying that like if you have a rep that's in, let's say, the San Francisco, Embarcadero store, that person can't see the cases for the store that's in Mission? Is that what you're saying? They cannot?
Right. They're not allowed to see the Berkeley store, and the people in the Berkeley store are not allowed to see the San Francisco store cases, so we've used the private sharing model for the case object.
Got it. So, all right. So that's just a rule that says, okay, so then it's private for everybody. Now you want to open it up to who?
Well, open up vertically so that the region, say the region headquarters is for the West Coast is located in LA. So LA can see San Francisco, Berkeley, all 15 stores in the West Coast cases. And then, but they can't see a region on the East Coast. They can't see the region office located in Washington, D.C., and the 15 stores on the East Coast. They can only see their stores, their 15 stores.
Yeah, but so that's that's a straight role hierarchy where you have the regular store reps as individuals, and then the person that's in LA store, that person is in a manager role, right? So that manager role can see, it's roles and subordinates that you're looking at here. So the way you roll it up is all the people, literally everybody that's in California, reports to those people that are in the LA office, or that group of people that are in that office. And so now you got roles and subordinates, and so by default you don't need any sharing roles there. Basically, the people that are in that group above the main group, they're going to be able to see everything for people below them, but not anybody across. So you're creating roles for the regional roles, basically saying, if there's one store that is in charge of California, then you've got a role that says California manager, and then all people below that, Washington manager, all people below that, Ohio manager, all people below that. So those are separate roles that you're creating with subordinates underneath, and you don't need sharing roles. And then you move the next level up.
Okay, so yeah, that's how we've set it up. But now, say you and I are in the San Francisco store. We're coworkers. Case sharing model. You can't see my cases, Deepa, and I can't see and I can't see yours,
no,
right?
No, you can't, because it's a private model. Yes, you can't.
Cannot. So they want that. They want that. They want people in the same store to be able to see each other's stuff.
That's where then you just set up a
So
you know what, Dennis, let's take this offline. Let's work with you offline, okay? Because this is not just the simplest scenario. We need to make sure we group them right so that you can get it right. Because whoever it was, Jared, whoever it was, is right. You're going to run out of sharing roles. So you need to make sure that you set up the groups correctly, that you can have them be able to look at each other's stuff. And it's going to be a combination of public groups, and sharing roles. So let's take this offline. Offline.
Does anybody? And last question, I'll end. Does anybody know what the limit is for sharing roles off the top of their head?
100.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate your comments.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And Dow. Appreciate your help there.
I take it back. That was wrong. I think that changed.
It's
let me just double check that. I'll post that up to the MVP office hours.
Are you talking about the limit?
I think it's 300 sharing rules per object, not 100.
Yeah, they increased it with either spring 14 or summer 14, but it's still, you still have to be careful. So I'm going to say, Dennis, this is a good one to actually draw it out on a piece of paper, or do a flow diagram of how the hierarchy rolls up and what they need to see. Post it in the MVP office hours, and let us help you offline on that.
Okay, this is already done. The role hierarchy is already done. I was asking about data loader, but okay, we can take it offline.
Yeah, and just to say, the latest is on the sharing rules. You get up to 300 sharing rules for objects, or 50 criteria-based sharing rules. Just looking at the document, that's the latest.
Can you say that again, please?
You get up to 300 sharing rules per object, and up to 50 criteria-based sharing rules.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, I have to leave. I have to take somebody to the airport, and so
Yeah, that's fine. We're
I
actually
am going to
2
drop
minutes,
off.
and
But
we're going to
if
go ahead.
once again, Dennis, post your comments on the MVP office hours. I know we'll all come and help you. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Deepa.
Bye.
All right, guys. Well, we are right at time here, and we don't have. Oh, let's see. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap up today's session. Thanks, everyone, for participating. Hopefully you found value in it. As always, feel free to post any feedback on the MVP Office Hours group and any suggestions for improvement. We actually are thinking about maybe doing some like a Sales Cloud specific, Service Cloud specific, and then Marketing Cloud, and maybe some other more like specific MVP Office Hours here shortly. So if you guys have any ideas like that, feel free to post them out there, and we'll definitely consider them, as this is for the community. So thanks for everyone's time, and have a excellent weekend.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day.